Hi, Chef Luke here, and today we're shooting a video celebrating a National Pasta Day, which is October 25th. So I've got a dish that I learned from a chef of mine a few years back that makes some nice fresh pasta, which I'll give you the recipe on how to make that from scratch. It's actually an easy modified recipe from the way that we learned. You can actually do it in your food processor. So most people are able to do it at home. And otherwise, you can look up just a pasta recipe online and just kind of see how they do it. And but this one, it's really, really easy. I'll show you that one. And it's a acorn squash with ricotta cheese that we'll make into a ravioli, and then we'll kind of show you how we kind of prepare that as to make it into a finished dish ready to eat. So we're going to start off with showing you how we're going to get our acorn squash and a little bit of ricotta. So what we'll do is we've got some half and half right here that I'm actually bringing up to a simmer. I've just had it on low. You just want it to simmer to where you start to see just a little bit of bubbles into it. And then what we'll do is you need an acid into it, which will actually help the half and half separate. That's how you get your ricotta. So we've got a couple of lemons here, and take our reamer, and we'll just put, you want to kind of hold it like this, try and keep some of the seeds from coming down in there, but you'll get a few in there, but you can catch them before you put them into the raviolis. Take about one whole lemon's juice. Now, as you can see, this is just completely separated. This doesn't look very pretty in there, but that's just because you've actually separated what you would have as your chunks of ricotta cheese from the rest. So as soon as that's separated, turn it right off, you're done. Okay, so now just using a small whisk. If you don't have something like this, what you can do is get some cheesecloth down in your kitchen supplies area. And then what you'll do is you can put that in just a colander that you'd have at home. Just put some cheesecloth down in there, and then you can just pour this right over onto it. It'll separate. But if you have something like this, you kind of pull it up, let the water kind of get out of it as best you can. You're not going to be able to get all of it out of there because it's still wet. Put it into here, and this is pretty much just your separated. Well, also helps to just kind of tilt this a little bit. Let's see. And get out as much as you can. You won't need a whole lot because you'll be mixing it with the acorn squash. This will give you your ricotta. Now we'll just take this and we'll just put it in our fridge and let it cool down so it'll kind of turn into a little bit more hardened state so we can kind of crumble it into our raviolis. So I've taken just an acorn squash and just cut it in half, and then thrown the two halves on there, just olive oil, salt, and pepper. You're looking at 350 degrees for about half an hour or so. And you'll get these just nice kind of caramelized, just nice looking acorn squash. Now you can take just a spoon, and this just comes right off. It's the consistency you want. You don't need to put it into a food processor or anything. And this is going to be able to be kind of scooped out. And that's just from roasting it. Alright, now as it's National Pasta Day, let's show you how to make some really nice from scratch pasta. What really helps is you want to get one of these pasta machines. You can get them at any kitchen store. They're usually not too bad, about $25-30 just depending on which area you get them from. Now, as the recipe showed up there, it's just a cup of semolina flour, cup and a half of all-purpose. Then you're going to have about 8 egg yolks, and then you just throw in a couple whole eggs. You just throw that into your food processor, a little bit of olive oil, and then have a little bit of extra flour on the side, because you got to be aware of the consistency to it. You want it till it's going to kind of ball up into a ball right there. Then you'll just pull that right out of there, and then put a little flour on the outside. Wrap it in plastic. It's got to go in your fridge for about half hour or so. Then you pull it out, let it set on your counter. Then it'll kind of soften down. You'll have a nice big hunk of pasta right here. Now this will probably make more pasta than you'll need, but you can make quite a few of these raviolis if you actually want to make a nice little dinner party or something like that. So we're going to start with just grabbing about, well, let's take a third of this, see where that gets us. Depends on how hard you process it down. Some will wrap. Always want to make sure that you wrap the remainder back up. So what helps is having a little bit of flour just kind of hanging out, because you want to keep, for one, your gloves with a little bit of flour onto it so it'll kind of stay on there. And as you put it through the pasta machine, you got to have a little bit of flour on there. But you don't want a ton of flour sitting on there, or else it's not going to catch in the machine. It's got different settings onto this. So you're going to start at its highest setting, a 7. But you want to kind of flatten this out so it'll go through on its first time. Okay, now we'll take this. We're going to kind of fold this into pieces. You got to kind of look at it like this way to where it's going to go back through the machine, because you're going to roll it up around like this. But you kind of got to go back and forth this way. So we'll take this with a little bit more flour, press it down a little bit, and then turn it so then it goes back through this way. This is again strengthening up the pasta like that. So we'll do this a couple times, and this is just making it strong. You want to kind of look and just make sure that it looks like it's a nice even piece of pasta. So once we get it to where it looks nice like this, now we'll actually change the setting. I like to skip a few. You don't have to go each individual one. So we'll drop that down to 5, and then put just the tiniest bit of flour down the length of it. Just enough. Alright. You just want to get it to start to feed into it. It really helps to kind of keep a hand right here. And then hold this up. So it'll start to get a little bit thinner as we go. Now, we want this to remain a little bit durable. So let's just go, we'll leave it down at 3. Give you a nice big bite of pasta. So otherwise this will make quite a few ravioli, but still, should come out pretty nice. We can just cut off some of this excess here. Now, what we're going to end up doing is taking this and folding it over. So this will kind of give you, like I guess, your mark to see where you're starting off with. And what you do is you fold it over once to where they're both going to be even all the way down. Then just make like one little crimp right there so you kind of know where your midpoint's at. Let's do some filling. Now, I've made a little bit of egg wash. Now all that is just one egg kind of beat up and a little bit of water into it. There's not really any ratio or method to it. So we'll take a little bit of our squash. We'll put just a little tiny pile right there. And then again, we'll just take some of this after this is chilled. You take a little bit of the ricotta and put it right down on there. So that makes your ravioli. Now the trick is you got to leave some space between these, because you're going to have to put egg wash around them. So we'll go down the line with leaving about 1.5 inches to 2 inches between them, because you're going to have the top that's going to press down into these. And our midpoint being right there, we'll just leave it at 6 right here. So we'll put a little bit of ricotta onto each one of these. Get a little bit much, don't worry about it. It's kind of messy till you get to the finished product. Some of this egg wash, you don't want a ton on here, but you're just going to kind of get around these so that it'll be able to create a seal when we come put these down. Now, take this, fold these over, and the egg wash will kind of make this start to be nice and stick down. Just make sure you get this even throughout the whole area. Now, before you seal both ends, this is the thing you don't want to put. There's going to be air in between these that'll make big bubbles. So kind of push down the centers first. Get some of the air out. So it will kind of make these and kind of travel one direction. Keep pushing the air down this way. Kind of make it so you're going right around these ravioli. These are going to be big, nice, rustic looking raviolis. Then we can put a little bit of flour on like a bench scraper and get these slide right up. Got some raviolis that we can cook off. Alright, so we've got a pot of just some boiling salted water, so we'll just do it a couple at a time because you don't want it to really drop too much of the temperature of the water. You want these to be nice and set up. Now, and that's the cool thing when you do with fresh pasta, there's no such thing as al dente. It's just done and not done. So we can just set these right into here and just you'll kind of let them sit around in the water for just a minute or so. Now, over here in a skillet, I have some butter that's cooking. Now what we'll do, this is kind of setting up the finished product. So as the butter's starting to heat up, take a little bit of pine nuts, put some in there so those will get a little bit roasty, and some fresh thyme. Talking about maybe a teaspoon of fresh sprigs. And so this will just kind of slowly roast right there while your ravioli cooking here. Just as soon as the pine nuts start to take on just a little bit of a caramelized color, then that's about the time to toss your raviolis into there. Let's see. They should be just about done. We'll give them about another 30 seconds. Should be good. You want to be careful around the dome on there not to break it, and the ricotta will just go everywhere. So this will still cook with these just a little bit. Just make sure and get as much water off as you can. And we'll kind of set that right into there. Nice little caramelized color onto these. Now, put just a little bit of honey. And kind of swirl this around a little bit. Alright. So this kind of all blends together. And then we can just come right down onto a plate. Some of the toasted pine nuts on top. You already have your garnish with the thyme. So your acorn squash and a little bit of thyme and nice ricotta ravioli. Bon appetit.